Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another Last Epoch dev stream. Pew, pew, pew. As always, I'm your host, Mike. How's it going? And if you were here last time, right at the very end of the stream, you will know that we found what we were looking for. That's right, we found the staff. Woohoo! Here we go. I'm not even gonna try to improve my build based on the fact that I now have this staff. And we're just going to go right for it and see what happens. And when I inevitably fail, then we'll fix it. Because that's how I roll. How's everybody doing? If this is your first time here, welcome. Glad to have you with us. Please put at Last Epoch Game in front of the question so I see it easier. And we stream for charity. We're getting water out to people that need water. Yes, good. That's good stuff. I feel like it's doing way more damage. That might just be me. That's the way it feels. I got our first question. Hunter X Bankai Killer. Sup, Mike? A lot of us are eager for news. When can we expect the time frame for new update for next patch? I don't really have much I can share with you right now. The next, I can't tell you, oh, the date for this will be available at this time, or anything like that. I don't know when everything's specifically getting announced. But I do know and can tell you that there is a large event happening very soon that we're going to, called Gamescom. And at this event, there will be some information that you're probably looking for available. So I would keep an eye on Gamescom and things you want to hear. Will likely at least some of the things you want to hear will probably be talked about there. I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure what the whole announcement entails, so I can't tell you if specific things are going to get announced or not. But major event, we're going big. If you're in the area, stop by. If you're not, tune in. I'm sure it'll be an awesome time. Alright, do you have any plans or ideas regarding the different dot types? For example, bleed, focus on slow hits and limited stacks, or poison denoting an AoE explosion after reaching a certain stack. Thank you. Okay, so we have ailments are kind of interesting. So there's performance concerns in having specific modifications to very common dots, and it's a really weird reason that it happens. So we do have a way that we can modify ailments applied to any enemy through any source. We can modify any dot in any way we want on the fly based on passives and items and skill nodes and all that sort of stuff. However, if we modify, say for example, bleed through one skill, so say we take bleed on the raptor bleed, the bleed that the summon raptor applies, and we say, okay, that bleed is gonna or maybe what's the example we use? That's a bad example for what I'm trying to say. It's okay. Let's say adds an explosion to the end of poison. That's actually a really good example. So say the summon scorpion has a node on it that makes it so that when poison that it applies expires, there's a poison explosion that poisons everything around it, like a poison puddle or something like that. Cool, awesome effect. However, if any other source now applies poison to that same target, there's a pretty big performance hit that happens. So we can't make on-the-fly modifications to specific affixes that are really common. So which is why we usually reserve effects like this for more niche ailments. So for example, Blood Curse in Acolyte is an ailment that can be modified pretty heavily in the tree. However, it's really rare that you have like more than one person applying it, let alone like a dozen different sources applying it in different ways. And even when you do, I think it might even be capped at 1 stack, question mark? Anyway, so that's I know it's not directly related to the question, but that sometimes comes up in that conversation. It's just important to note why we don't modify them based on skill trees, which is sort of like the obvious like option for doing something cool with them. As for having the really common ailments have specific mechanical differences, yeah, that is something we do like, and we are trying to work that flavor in different ways. For example, there's an upcoming unique item that I just showed, that with that unique item, it does what I'm talking about here without actually modifying the ailment, where it makes it so that the enemies will take more damage from physical ailments while moving, I think is what it is. And that basically gives bleed a like more damage to moving. Like, so when you're bleeding and you start moving, you take more damage, that sort of thing. And that's actually really interesting because it applies to other people's bleeds too. So it works even better. And that's sort of thing we do want to work in. But why the base versions of the ailments are pretty basic is a lot of the reason there is just for simplicity's sake, making it easy to understand and optimize the basic functionality without having to like learn a bunch of new mechanics for a specific ailment. So you don't need to learn. I want to keep my targets moving when I'm making something bleed to maximize the damage of it. But if you take this unique item and you equip it, then you do need to have that knowledge. But because you've chosen to equip the item, that extra bit of like optimization you can make is a lot more in your face. So the really basic, straightforward core dots is really intentional. There is some uniqueness in like shock is arguably the most common for lightning one, so that's a unique one there. Then it's sort of like cold is like frostbite and chill, and those are both a little different because they cause movement speed reductions and attack speed reductions. So there are little mechanical differences we try and work in, and poison also reduces the poison resistance, making more stacks of poison on the same target more effective. So yeah, like we do work in these differences, and there are new types of ailments coming next patch as well. That do, because the one type of ailment application that isn't really represented right now in Last Epoch, and is really well represented in Path of Exile. And whenever we have a situation where there's something we don't do great and they do really well, it gets brought up a lot as suggestions, a lot. And so this concept of scaling the initial hit of the attack to scale the damage that the dot deals. That concept is a little bit lost in Last Epoch. And I think we do have an example of that coming next patch. Hope that answered the whole question. Just reread the question, I could have just said yes. Babbling Mike over here. We're at that point in a development cycle for a patch where we're like, we're kind of we're pretty far along the development cycle. We're trying to make sure that the major features are like really solid, really good, feel awesome, like pretty bug free, all that sort of stuff. And it's usually around this time where there's like features that we've sort of all wanted to get in for a while, and someone's like, we can sneak this in. Can we sneak this in? Do you think we can sneak this in? Oh, we can sneak this in. And and everyone's like trying to find ways to sneak stuff in right now. That's a little it's good. It's fun. It's coming along strong, which is awesome. You like our game? Thank you. I appreciate you playing our game. Just learned about Last Epoch. Been a streamer. Introduced me to it. Bought it yesterday and played a little. You guys have made a fun game. Thank you. I always love hearing about people enjoying our game. I was I sometimes play webcam magic. So like you just take your webcam and point it down at your desk and play over the internet, like over Discord. And my desk, the top of my desk is just like my mouse pad is just a giant Last Epoch playmat. So I just like move my mouse and keyboard aside and play on that. And I actually was playing against someone last night, and they recognized the playmat. Was like, I was just playing that. That's so cool. And they're like, when did you get into it and all sorts of stuff? And I'm like, well, kind of work on it. That was cool. Stuff like that I really enjoy. Saying that I should work in politics. I'd get eaten alive. We'd go to the first debate, and someone would say something that's like technically not true, but it's like not my turn to speak, and I would just like start screaming at them for lying. Or something dumb like that. I just wouldn't be able to keep it together. See, here's great, because no one can talk back. No. Was a professional developer for 18 years. Go to DevOps in the last 8. Watch some of you guys' alpha videos compared to where you are. Yeah, that's the alpha videos compared to now are hilarious. If anyone's interested at all and hasn't seen one of them, you can see a lot of the footage on our Kickstarter page. That's probably the easiest way to find a lot of that footage. But there is like old patch videos and stuff like that, and like I'm still proud of what we did at the time. But oh my god, it's like compared to now, it's night and day. I know this topic was discussed, but maybe you have some new info on the damage scaling aspect. For now, the only way to focus on crit as much as possible, except the dots. We have the singularity, but it's extremely weak in comparison. I mean, we do. I'm gonna shave my mustache off. I feel like it's just tickling my nose. As far as damage scaling diversity goes, it is something that we are looking into as like a way to improve the game to give more versatile build opportunities, and as we build out like the last few classes, as we build out more unique items, finish up more endgame systems, things like that, there's gonna be more options. And naturally there will be just like different ways to build things. We do know that singularity was a good start, but not all the way to what it needed to be. Sorry to say. And I think there's a good chance that we'll find room for other similar effects or items that help enable that type of gameplay a little bit better. It's a tough line to walk because there's this opportunity cost of going crit, where you have like the opportunity cost is the all the affixes that you're giving up to crit specifically, and so then those kind of have to get like you generally don't want to change those into defensive affixes, and so you're looking for other offensive affixes to use there, and often they're less efficient, or the crit affixes are more efficient generally speaking, because of like the multiplicative nature of crit chance and crit multiplier. So we've looked at other ways to take advantage of crit, so that it still has that kind of effect, but not uses crit. If that makes any sense. That was less successful, but we're working on it. I think it's something that will take a little bit of time to really find a nice spot for it. I also don't think it's crazy far off. I think it's also one of those things where it's a fine line, and it'll sort of it'll flip all of a sudden in a lot of cases, and it's something that we want to avoid. So we don't want it to go from like, well, obviously you build crit in every circumstance, to, well, obviously you never build crit in any circumstance. And I think given the choice between the two, the former is better. Ouch, my face. Lightning Meteor is great. Make the staff one-handed? I mean, it is? Is there any news? Maybe a migrate SSF to trade? Is there any news on maybe a migrate SSF to trade? So trade is not like a I guess it kind of is. It's SSF in normal, because in normal you'll have access to Merchant's Guild and Circle of Fortune, one of which is proper trade and one of which is proper not trade. So I want to avoid using SSF versus trade. Now you can, if you have SSF or solo, if you have solo turned on, you can migrate your character from solo to not solo. So that's already in the game and it's going to stay. If you're talking about COF to MG migration, yeah, that's part of the initial pitch and that's in there. You can just switch whenever you want. If you're talking offline to online, no, that will not happen. Hard no. I saw the same name say something something I mean, and so I think I may have misinterpreted the question. Sorry. Oh yeah. I saw a comment. I'm like, well, teleport's on cooldown. Not happening. All right. What am I trying to say? What are you trying to say? What am I trying to read? Oh, I think I know what this question is actually. You're asking if you can take your shards, your crafting materials out of here from SSF to normal, such that you can start a new online solo character with no no advancement, no like pre-seeding of stuff, with purpose of races in mind. Yeah, that's something we're working on. There's some back-end changes that need to happen to make it possible still. Basically, the back-end work we've been doing to make the entire game more stable is wins in priority, just flat out wins. So that's been focused on a lot instead. It is on the list. We're gonna do it. We'll get there. Don't worry. I don't think it's gonna be a 9-2 thing. Sorry. We've been there's a lot of stuff to just make the core multiplayer experience smooth and fun and awesome, and all of that's been more important. I know it's frustrating, and a lot of the decisions we've had to make recently have been, how do we get to 1.0 the fastest with the best version of 1.0? And in the interim, there's been a few features that have had to get sidelined, unfortunately. And I know it's really frustrating if one of those is affecting you, and I do apologize. Yes. Added health shard, couple resistance shards. It's always nice. Beep. Ooh, pure crit. I will take it. Alright, more questions. I want more. I need your questions. What will I do without them? I will fall into a deep slumber. Oh, you troll shrine. You filthy troll shrine. Ah, got it. There's stuff to make the clutter not spawn around them. But there's, it's not perfect. How long is my beard? It's not actually that long right now. Like talking like max distance of a hair. Not about that big. Which I know is super useful given the relative measurements you've got access to clearly. It's about like the width of an SSD. Was that 2.5 inches? SSD for scale. That was one of my first SSDs, I think. I just got like a pile of broken ones in the corner. They're all like 64 gigs, 128 gigs. I say a pile, there's 3. I've been a big fan of LE for a long time. Awesome. I had the game for at least 4 years, I think. Yeah, that's definitely possible. How soon is the roadmap to 1.0 implementation? Well, the goal for 1.0 is still this year. That's a level up. So, you know, there's not a ton of time left in that that estimation. I mean, yeah, this is actually probably a great node for me. I know we were going for stuff up here probably. LE damage, LE res. Is there any just like sweet lightning nodes up here? I mean, we could do like a lightning aura build with this. We're so focused on long range that I don't think it's gonna fit. 70% chance to shred armor. Pusha. 1.0 win. I don't have a specific date for you right now that I can share. I'm sorry. I would love to be able to tell you a date. I don't actually know the exact date. I could get pretty close. Just from, like, logic. You didn't deserve a meteor. Okay, is before 2024. That's the goal. I don't have a specific date I can share with you or hard information I can say yes or no to, but the goal is this year still. Basically, nothing goes catastrophically wrong with the networking upgrades we're doing. I know there is most likely some deadline from the investors and stakeholders, but I beg you don't rush it if possible. I crave for early success. We are under no pressure. The by far the largest pressure we have to release the game comes from fans, which is very reasonable. I don't want to say that as a bad thing. It's been quite a while. We've missed a few deadlines that we've set for ourselves. Which is not good, and I think we're going to end up with a fantastic product. I hope it'll be worth the wait for everyone. But yeah, we're under no time crunch from, like, there's no one walking into the office going, "Where's that build? You should have that done by now," or anything like that. It's our deadlines are our own. Which is fantastic, and something that I don't think is very common to have that luxury of setting your own deadlines for things, and it's fantastic that we can. Which is because of all of you that we can do that. All right, maybe a weird question. How many concurrent players will you aim to be able to handle at launch? I know we have. I don't know the number of that. I'm sorry, but I know that we have like a lot. We have a very large amount of servers, not just from one provider that we're talking to, in expectation of big spikes. The problems we've had previously, funny enough, were actually software problems, not server availability problems. Like the software we wrote wasn't able to properly handle that volume. It's totally fine with it now. There's just sometimes things that like simulations don't actually catch or test for. It's weird. There's like a fan just off to the side here. I've just realized why my nose is so itchy when I stream. It's because I turn the fan on, I point it at myself, and the fan just moves my mustache hair just enough. It's just like constantly having a feather tickling your nose. It's wonderful. After watching PoE 2, do you have any new ideas that can be applied to LE? We try so this is a something I answered a bunch last week. We try really hard to. Thank you very much. Oh, it's a big one. I'll just answer this question real quick first. Oh, it's gonna drain the whole time. Yep, that's fine. When we're watching other games, we try really hard not to look at it as a like list of examples of things to do and not do. Like those things will creep in, and your experience when playing other games influences how you develop games. Absolutely. And I try really hard personally to like just look at a game for what that game is. Mostly because it's so hard to translate a feature directly from one game to another because it ties into so many other systems. And it's really hard to say like, oh, that was a sweet system, let's add that to Epoch. Well, there's a few things wrong with that. And like moral like reasons aside, it can just be problematic, and it frequently will not end up being the same. And I think it's really helpful. Thanks, guys. I'm gonna finish this first. Sorry. I think it's really good for us to, if we're going to look at a feature in another game like that, we tend to look at it from what's this feature accomplishing? What's the reason for them having it? And do we need a feature to accomplish the same thing? And I think that's a much better way of looking at it, in order to improve our game, which is the goal, really. Digital Danger, thank you so much. I think it was 5 gifted subs. That's fantastic. Congrats to everyone who got one of those. And then Iron Cross Sword Wooden Cross. Oh, nice. Iron Cross. Yeah, sweet. Iron Cross or Wooden Cross. Got it. It's so hard without the capitalization in there, because I assume there's some. I don't know why it strips it all out. Yep, it's really easy to read in there. Thank you very much. That's fantastic. Congrats to everyone who got one of those. Glad to have y'all here. Is the train leaving the station? Oh! Let's go. All aboard. Lost my place. Gonna answer some questions. That's why I'm here. PoE 2 does look awesome. Like, just on a personal note, I will be playing it. I think it looks great. Federal! Thanks for the Twitch Prime sub. Much appreciated. Glad to have you with us. Fantabulous. Alright, more stuff. Dev studio with no deadlines imposed on the powers that be. Are you even a real company? We are a real company, I swear. For the most part, we are the powers that be. So you know, it's more that we just don't have people to report to. That rather, you know, like that's all. We technically don't have a publisher. I saw a judge hinting at a dodge roll might be something you guys are considering on a Reddit thread. Is this true, or is Judge just throwing stuff out there? No, we've considered dodge roll for Last Epoch on and off for the last 5 years. We've had versions of it, like we built the UI. We've had versions of it in the game for internal testing. Like we pulled it out again, and like we've put in a version. We started working on a version, designing like a specializable version. A generically specializable version of a dodge roll for all classes. We started looking at that. We started doing one that had like a full tree. We started doing one that was just like a tree stub. Like really bare bones version of it. Like a more akin to like, this is a weird reference to use for this because no one played it, but the StarCraft 2 original Wings of Liberty campaign tech tree, like meta progression tree. Which was left or right. It was like 8 left or right choices, and that was the whole thing. But like we did a version of it that was like along that line. Yeah, we've considered dodge roll many times, and yeah, seeing it in seeing how the combat flowed in the example that was present for at ExileCon for PoE2. Did make us like evaluate what their dodge roll was accomplishing, and if that was something that we were already accomplishing, or if it was something that we needed in the game or not. And I think what it's accomplishing really well is, and the big thing that I like that their dodge roll is doing is it gives you an ability to, when you're designing encounters, enemy encounters, boss fights, even just trash mobs or elites, anything like that, you can assume that the player has access to a movement ability. Right now, the only thing that we can assume that our players have access to are these 2 buttons here: move and attack. Those are the only things that we can absolutely assume that a player has. And like you can generally say like, okay, well you're gonna have like melee replacement attack that's basically just attack but better. All classes have that as well. All classes unlock one of those at level 6, I think. And so you can kind of assume that too. But that's basically just the same as saying it has attack. You can't assume that you have like a fire damaging ability. So you can't say like, oh, this boss there's like a phase in this boss fight where you have to deal a bunch of fire damage to this spot, a bunch of cold damage to this spot, and like there's like a red and a blue crystal that pop up, and you do a bunch of fire damage and cold damage to each one of them to like shatter the crystal, and then it like moves on. But you can't guarantee that each character has access to fire or cold damage. And one thing a dodge roll does is it guarantees that every character has access to a oh crap movement ability to get out of certain effects, and so you can design boss fights with that in mind, and it does open up some cool things that you can do then. So that's the biggest reason why we'd consider adding a dodge roll in, and why we have considered adding a dodge roll in. It's also just fun, and it's an active thing you can do, even if you're making a build that's kind of like a 1 button build. Like even if you're just making a build that's really like, okay, I don't want to do anything. I want minions, minions, maybe some minions, and just like finish it off with some minions. And you're like, I don't want to do anything. Still having that dodge roll button really helps to have something to do, and it's even if you're not a big fan of doing things, it's still a fun thing to do for most people, anyways. And I think there's also room for cool effects in there too, of like, if you have like a dodge roll, it's a charge system, so you have like, oh, I got 3 charges. That was a big sneeze. You can do things of like, oh, maybe you do. Okay, let's tie back in to what I was saying earlier. Here we go. Non-critical hits deal 100% more damage if you're at max dodge roll charges, and max potion charges. I don't know. It's just another thing that you can scale stuff off of, which I think is kind of cool. Cold damage, spreading flames, pshaw, we don't need that swill. Did you see they announced Torchlight 2 today with a cinematic trailer? I did not. Titan Quest 2 makes a lot more sense. I did hear that Crate was talking about more ARPG stuff, and I know they're doing another expansion for or another update at least, or maybe have done for Grim Dawn. I rented Torchlight, or sorry, Titan Quest. You got me saying it. I rented Titan Quest 1 for Switch for my library a couple years ago. In the height of the pandemic, I was just renting games like crazy. Wow, yeah, this looks real. Rock Paper Shotgun's reporting on it. Titan Quest 2 announced with handcrafted open world. Oh, it's THQ Nordic. It's not great. Oh, of course they sold it, or it's they split off. It's the same people that made it, but yes, sorry, I got that confused. Yeah, I'm gonna watch that later. Cool, very cool. Remember to tag me. Ooh, all right, let's go back and find the one that didn't tag me. What's the biggest issue you guys have run into? Multiplayer. Which the first 40 are multiplayer problems. Networking issues, multiplayer problems. It's all around network. All of them. It's all. I know it's kind of a boring answer. I'm sorry, but like, it's all just multiplayer problems. If multiplayer had been as easy and smooth as we had hoped, but had no reason to expect, I think, this is pure speculation. I think there's a really good chance that we would have released to 1.0 without all the mastery classes, and we would have just been like, we'll finish them later. Silly teleporting bear. I think if the classes had more variety for mobility, so people aren't forced. I know we're not, but come on, yeah. To choose one type of dash skill from each class. Yeah, and we're adding a new movement ability. Like, we're trying to add more movement abilities. They're really tricky to make feel unique. It's really difficult to have two movement abilities in the same class feel really unique. And quite often the types of one of the ways that you can do cool stuff on a movement ability is trigger other abilities or add buffs when you use them. And having those, there's not a lot of things you can really do there. There's not a ton of options, and so you don't end up with a lot of diversity. So having two movement skills feel mechanically unique is tough. But yeah, next patch, one of the classes is going up to 3 movement skills. Total. You can't have all 3 at the same time, I don't think. I don't know if you can. I have no idea if they're locked or not. I'm sorry. They all share cooldowns, so there's no point in having them at the same time anyways, but yeah. More questions, please don't forget to put at Last Epoch Game in the question so I see what it is. It pops out of me. I can answer it. When's the next content update? I do not have a specific date for you. We are very much moving along. You can kind of get pretty good idea of it if you think about it logically with the information that's available. So the information that's available, the next patch is not 1.0. We are still planning on releasing 1.0 this year. You can probably get a pretty good idea of when the next one's coming, roughly. We're also going to be at Gamescom in Germany on August 21st, 22nd, 23rd, somewhere in there. And we'll be sharing lots of info then. Not just dates, but just like info on cool things that are coming and upcoming plans and all sorts of stuff. So, yeah, keep an eye on that. My poison res is 7. Awesome. Yeah, we cannot stand in those pools. What is 7? It's 7. Oh my goodness, run! Should clear those pools when it dies. What problems in multiplayer you try to solve? I mean, so there's tons of stuff in multiplayer that are problematic, but like, I was talking about graphics that maybe good temper teaser. Oh yeah, okay, here, I'll toss this up while I'm talking. Here is so in the Chapter Z rework that we did recently, the Chapter 1 rework that we did recently, there's a ton of new tech that we created specifically for level design, and we're now starting to apply those to other parts of the game. So this is an area that already exists in the game, but we're shining it up a little bit. Give the old elbow grease. So what problems in multiplayer are you trying to solve? So it's a lot of things. It's load time. It's having like your friends list update quickly. I know you can't see behind there, but like things like that. It seems silly, but like, just really reliable multiplayer services. This is the key stuff we're working on. Hers, I appreciate the changing date and time format somehow. Do you plan on updating offline mode to be the same gameplay as online mode? Are they not the same right now? Question mark. Yes. There's certain things that just won't work in offline. For example, the bazaar. So for trading, like resonances won't drop in offline because there's no reason for them to. But other than that, we're gonna keep updating it like we do. When new skills are added or masteries, there are bugs. Expected, yes. But is there any concern about releasing 3 masteries and a bunch of skills on 1.0 of bugs during game release? I mean, absolutely. We've been working to make our cutoff. We live up to our name for our company name of 11th Hour Games. A lot of stuff happens at the very last second. A lot of stuff happens at the very last second. And it's not good. And we've really been working hard. This is one of the things we've been doing to improve our workflow as a company is to cut off development a lot earlier for patches and spend a lot more time in testing where some people have moved on to the next patch. People aren't trying to sneak things in at the last second, which I am like one of the, if not the worst offender of that. And just like more time in testing. We've resurrected the CT program. We're starting to. We're in the process of that to get community testing back online. Because yeah, there's stuff coming for this patch that like we're already like looking at it going, we don't have much time to change stuff. We need some feedback now. Oh, I want to answer questions. I see them. I want them. Put them in my brain. But I don't want to die. Can I like... Let's scroll up. There used to be a portal frame thing by the entrance of the Monolith of Fate 4.9, but that was it. And when do we get to know who Nana your business guy was? Ah. Nice kill, Cyber Wars. Okay, there used to be a portal frame thing by the entrance of the Monolith of Fate before 4.9. What was it, and when do we get to know who the Nana your business guy was? I have no idea the answer to any of that, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know. It's a good one for us. I'm sure you heard about the issue that Blizzard is having with stash tabs in D4. Yeah, that was a while ago. I know that in this game it's not a big problem, but on the side note, do you all also use the load each player's stash tabs when you see their characters? I would hope not. No, we don't do that. I heard some really interesting theories as to why they were doing it, and I thought it was really cool. And this is something that I like to highlight when we're talking about like this topic. Is that I think there is a good reason why this could have been implemented, and I think there's multiple good reasons why this would have been implemented. I do not know why it was implemented. I do not know if they had a good reason to implement it, but I think that there could have been a good reason to implement it. And until we have more information on it, I think it's reasonable to give them the benefit of the doubt on it. The coolest one I heard was that they were going to use everyone basically the way that in a weird way that like crypto works, is that they were going to use each. And I'm sorry, I know this is like a crazy oversimplification, so I know this is not actually how crypto really works, but it's kind of similar. It's got some, it is whatever. Is using each player to validate every other player's stash that you come in contact with. So like, give each item a unique ID, and then whenever someone, like if two people have the same unique ID in their inventory, or maybe it like records the unique IDs it's seen and who had them. And then there's like some sort of way to validate who has it still or something like that. Like using players to validate everyone else's inventory for duplicated items. I thought it was a really interesting idea. I have no idea if they're doing it or not, or if it would even be viable if they were trying to. But that was the coolest one that I heard. I had a few theories of my own that were nowhere near as good. Can't remember what they are now. But no, we have no reason to do that ourselves, so we're not doing it right now. Now, right now, when you load in when another character joins your game, like the information you get for that character is super minimalistic. You get their visuals, like it's what model to load and what is the visual piece that they're having. Like if they've got MTX on, you don't even know what they're wearing underneath their MTX. It just like sends just the visuals. Like this is what to show. Show this on the screen. So that's it. You may get some core stats actually. You may get health and mana and ward. That's possible. In order for it to be able to calculate ward visuals above the health bar, that little ward sliver there, being able to calculate the like breakpoints that it gets, because it's an infinite size health bar or ward bar, which may not be displayed for allies anyway, so we may not send that info. We already send way too much network traffic. We don't need to have more. That's talking about the things we're trying to fix right now. That's one of the things we're trying to fix is reducing network traffic. All right, is trading coming with 1.0 or before? it's not coming before 1.0. Before 1.0 would mean next patch. It's not coming next patch. It's not done. Yeah. We are still working on implementation. The UI's been designed, not implemented. Looks fantastic. It's not finished, but looks fantastic what's there. We're working hard to get real powerful search and sort functions in there. Like really specific details. I know the loot filter intentionally leaves things out. So there's very intentionally things that you cannot specify in your loot filter. And we're not really planning on changing that too much. There's a few things we're changing there to make it a little bit better, or a little bit more open. But for the most part, like, so there's a bunch of things that your loot filter just can't do. And we're not putting the same restrictions on Bazaar Search and Sort. So you'll be able to specify the plan, it's not finished yet, so like the plan is to be able to specify very, very specific items. For example, filtering by legendary potential is something that we are planning on doing for the Bazaar, but is not available in the loot filter. And there's way more specific things, but that's just the one that comes to top. I love the controller support for gameplay, but the interface is a serious struggle. Any plans to improve upon that? Absolutely. There's improvements coming next patch, and I know there's more improvements planned for the patch after that. And I would be surprised if there's not plans for improvements after that too. But yes, that is definitely being improved upon. Can we get insight into when the next big update is coming? Got called into work meeting. Sorry, yeah, I said this already. That's fine. I don't have a date for you. I should put this up on the screen, probably. I don't have a date for the next patch. I would advise you to keep an eye on major gaming news events that are happening soon for major news regarding Last Epoch that Last Epoch developers may be going to. Wink. Wink. It's okay, I think I'm funny. Hello! Is there a plan to let people save their stash layouts so you don't have to reset up all of our stash at every week? Obviously, you need to buy the stash tabs if you want to use it. We don't have a plan for that at the moment. There are a few stash upgrade features that we've talked about and looked at doing that I'd really like to put in. I don't know specifically which ones will get the green light. That is one that has come up in the past. I think that's probably one of those features that it's like, if I could like go and like clone myself for a month, my clone could do it. But we probably won't have time to finish it by 1.0 type thing. The Masteries are going to take a ton of work. The 1.0 Masteries stretch will be the most skills we've ever implemented in that period of time before. And our pipeline for it is more in-depth and has more features, like more steps along than we've ever had before as well. So, like, yeah, it's going to be a lot of time spent on that. Hey! Hello! 3,000 hour PoE player here. That's a lot. I bet you know more about PoE than I do. I'll finish reading your question in a second. I'm sorry. Trim armor. I don't like that one. It is actually good. Receive glancing blows not terrible. Not great. I've raised 2 characters in different patches in Last Epoch, and I would say that crafting and gearing is your strongest part. Thank you. Would you mind to share any insights on updating the endgame and adding more story and more boss fights. Thanks. Absolutely, sure. Yes, we're doing those things a lot. I had a bit of like I was playing some late night Civ a few weeks back, and I had a really good idea for a boss mechanic that I'm gonna try and get in at some point. I don't go into too many details on it, but yeah, new endgame boss fights, especially like a pinnacle boss fight and like a capstone content. So like in Diablo 2 pre-LOD, like killing Diablo type content, where you're like, this is like, wow, I did it. I made a character that did it. And having that type of content is really important to us. We want to get it right. I think that putting that type of content into not the caliber we want to would be more damaging than delaying it slightly. I'd be surprised if that like pinnacle boss actually lands by 1.0. I really hope we get a chance to get it in, but I'd be surprised. We are expanding the chapters for the campaign. We are expanding Endgame. The biggest thing that we're looking to expand into for our endgame systems is what I've been calling unexpected content. And it's something that PoE really thrives with. It's you're going along, you're in a map, and hey, look at this map device just chilling here. I've got another map I can go into inside this map. Or the classic like D3 Treasure Goblin. And you walk up to it and it's just like, hey, shiny, I'm gonna run away, but if you catch me and kill me, it's like a leprechaun. It's like a dark, twisted leprechaun. I just realized that. Like that type of mechanic where it's just like really, really brief and you stay in the same space, but it's like a mini quest that happens, and there's a big reward for it or a specific reward for it. Things like that, adding that into the game. I'm very intentionally not saying the first thing we're adding in that category, but we will continue to add more things in that category as time goes on as well. More dungeons, more types of monoliths, more completely unique endgame systems. Yeah. It'll take us a long time to get up to the volume of endgame content that PoE has, because oh my goodness, it's a lot. But yeah, we're definitely working on it. We know that that's a very, very key part of the ARPG like gameplay loop and fun challenge. I left a few shards behind. I like those ones. Okay, there's some stuff here. It's cold. That is a nice one, but it's not for us. Surge. I mean, there's the lightning damage, but it's only half of an idol for us. We don't channel anything, do we? Alright, 650. Let's go. Just my feedback for the game. Minions feel better than D4. Don't change it. Thank you very much. We actually are making a change to minions coming next patch. Right now you can press A to target your minions at a specific location. If you have minions out and you press A to target a specific location and have your minions move to that location, it will do the that little arrow thing that you can see right now that it's on the ground when I move myself. A little red version of that will show up to say like, hey, you're sending your minions here, just so you know where you're sending them specifically. And a little bit of feedback that your command actually registered. So kind of a joke answer because we're not really doing much to change them yet. We probably will add some more features into the minions to get them to a little bit more control. That's something that we know that we think is missing from our minions is a little bit more granular control. In the sense of, I guess, being able to set personalities a little bit. Sometimes you want your wolves to really be frontline, ahead of you, pushing. Sometimes you don't. Being able to control that just a little bit, just to give them a little bit of a like offensive, defensive type mentality, we think would be really, really good. We're not quite ready for it yet. Something is going on here. Do you guys see that on the screen? There's like... something was going on there. That was weird. Is there a best time to apply for a spot in the music team or any team with no active open spots? Like before or after a patch, close to release, maybe after a release, close to the first cycle? Is there even a best time? Yes, I would put the best time between 3 weeks and a month and a half. 3 weeks and a month and a half after a patch release, I think is the best. Maybe shorter than that. 3 weeks to a month. 3 to 4 weeks after a patch is like the most optimal time. Because yeah, no one's freaking out because of the patch. We're into the next patch development cycle. That's when you're most likely to get someone's attention in time. Thirsty boy today. Water is good. There used to be an NPC under the Monolith of Fate entrance where his dialogue is you asking him who he was, and he'd do a knock-knock joke. And then he'd go, knock-knock. Who is it? Nana who? None of your business. Nice. Okay. Somehow I think I missed this. I had no idea this was a thing. That's hilarious. I know exactly who wrote that, and it makes total sense. It's very... yeah, that's probably not coming back. Maybe there'll be like a reference to it or something. We sneak things in like that is cool. That's funny. PoE already uses item ID since forever. Even each map has a unique ID. Yeah, I assume this is. I'm pretty far behind here now, so sorry about that. I'll do my best to catch up. But yeah, this is talking about the Diablo item thing again. Yeah, I just want to be clear. I have no idea if why they were doing it was a good idea, or if the reason I suggested was a good reason even at all. Sorry. Just that I didn't want to vilify them for doing something that was possibly the right decision. Just without all the information, we just don't know. That's all. Alright, just curiosity from a developer that works on a more corporate world. How is the architecture of a game server service, are microservices or mono, or something else? I don't do enough of the back-end development to really answer this question properly. I do know that we have some things that are, we do both. Depends on what it is. So, like the logon servers, for example, are very different functionality, and like we call it our matchmaking server, which it doesn't do matchmaking in the. When you say matchmaking, everyone assumes it means one thing, and it does mean that, but that's not the way we use matchmaking for our matchmaking server. So that one's the big one. that is more monolithic. But yeah, it's if you'd like more info on that, you can ask in the Discord, and I can try and find someone to answer specific questions. But I'm more of I do more of the gameplay development stuff, and am not a network engineer. We get much smarter people, much more smarter people than I. Yes, much more smarter people than I. That's right. That handle that. Which we're always looking for more. So if anyone wants or knows a lot about video game networking, and wants to work on Epoch with as a network engineer, posting on our website. I think I'm pretty far behind. So this question: does the game load up fuel stash tabs? If not, what do you think about the idea? I'm going to just assume that you've heard me answer this question in the last few minutes. Sorry, if you'd like me to answer it again, I can. What can we look forward to regarding the Warlock Mastery? I was expecting we get the Lich. I was expecting what we get with the Lich. I'm ultra excited. Yeah, so I can't give you too many details on the Warlock. Our sort of like theme touchstone is Jafar from Aladdin. Like 90s, I think, animated Aladdin Jafar is, I think, the touchstone. I don't want you to go into details on abilities, what he can do, that sort of stuff. Definitely pretty far from what their actual abilities, but that feel of like, I am a dark wizard. I am a powerful sorcerer that doesn't care about rules to get the job done. So probably more similar mechanically to the sorcerer a little bit in certain ways. Just but with a acolyte spin on it more. There's some unique mechanics coming for it too. I know I just said literally no information about what's actually happening, and I'm sorry. But I can't share it yet. I'd love to. Ask me in a couple months. A few months, actually. I hope we do like a pre-teaser with it. If you're wondering why I'm activating Flame Ward and then teleporting in before I start meteoring like crazy, Flame Ward gives me mana efficiency, so all my spells are cheaper basically, and then teleport makes my next spell fully refunded. So I do cheaper spells, teleport in cheaper, refund the next spell, and then have a bunch of cheap meteors to spam. Because my mana's not so good yet. No, not gonna lie, as a new PoE player, the amount of endgame stuff is just, and overall content is so overwhelming, it's a turn off. Yeah, there's, I don't think that's uncommon feedback, is that it can be a little overwhelming. I think a lot of the reason that can be, I guess, problematic or whatever is, the desire, or maybe the being pushed to, pushes might be the wrong word, but just having too many things feel like it's optimal to complete all of them. Because I know you can ignore a bunch of those things and still do quite well, especially as a new player. I mean, I'm sure the pros take it all into account, but I think there, I don't know how to say this. I think there's sort of a natural draw to do it all, which can be problematic when there is a lot in all. even if you don't need to do it all. That make any sense? The lightning storm is so great. It's just. I'm so happy we got the staff. So happy. I gotta like go in and actually change some stuff because I've got some fire damage stuff still. I think, which is really useless now. I've got a couple things that are like, if you use 2 elements, well, we're pure lightning now, baby. All right, as you know, the game loot drops are random. But some items are more important for certain builds, such as the item for squirrel build. To be used, will there be any way to maybe craft certain items that are required for specific builds to work? Yeah, so we do give, I guess this is sort of the general, like, overarching term for target farming. Like, hey, I need this item for this build. I need a way that I can focus, I can change my actions, my play pattern, to sacrifice other item drops in favor of these specific item drops, to curate your loot that you're going to find, to focus on specific pieces to complete your build. We do have a few things that we do with this, and we're definitely going to be adding more. The key ways we have this right now, here we go, I can do it, I swear. Rune of Ascendance. So this lets you take an item and, like a rare item, and put it onto a helmet, and then that helmet will turn into a unique helmet. And so you can do this to try and get the scroll, Herald of the Scurry. And I think that's because it was Ziz that designed that item, and that's how he got it, was through an Ascendance, which is pretty sweet. And so yeah, you can like, so you've got this resource, this Ascendance resource that you're finding, and if you just used one on a helmet, then one on an ailment, then one on a weapon, then one on a chest, then one on a ring, then one on a belt, like you would homogenize your chances of getting all the items by doing that. But you can focus them, so you're like, oh, I really want this helmet, so I'm going to use all of them on helmets to try and get the helmet that I'm looking for. So that lets you target farm helmets. We've also put into place the monolith is kind of split up into 2 sides, left and right. The right is mostly stats, the left is mostly target farming stuff, basically. Here, this increased one-handed mace drop rate. So I could go back to this one and get a different drop rate increase. So maybe the one of them has helmets in there, I don't know which one it is. Where you can be like, oh, I have an increased chance to drop helmets now, so you find more helmets. You find one that's like increased chance to drop unique items, you find more unique items, and you can start to like stack your odds a little bit at finding them. Then there's each one of these monoliths has specific nodes in it. I'm not gonna do that right now because I'll brick it, but there's specific nodes that have specific unique item types, so you can target that specific monolith to increase your odds of getting that unique item. You can also then the dungeon, there's like a dungeon of the day stuff, so you can like pick the day that helmets show up there to increase your odds of getting it again. What other ways to target farm things are there? So yeah, there's ways to increase your odds of finding those items. Definitely already. So you can like you can do a lot to kind of curate the items you find and improve the odds of getting specific items. When Item Factions comes out, we'll also, so the Circle of Fortune, there's 2 item factions if you don't know, and if you don't know about this yet and you want to go into depth on exactly how this is going to be, check out our forums. There's a big long post on it. But you have Circle of Fortune and Merchants Guild, and there's sort of the trade and not trade are the 2 options there. It's essentially what it boils down to. So if you pick Merchants Guild, you have access to trade. It's an auction house style system. You'll be able to just get enough gold and buy a herald that someone else found. Great, target farming over. In Circle of Fortune, you'll be able to invest in these prophecies, which will help you target farm specific things. So maybe we don't have all the prophecies designed yet, so I don't know what they're going to be. But hypothetically, there might be one, something similar to the next time you find a unique helmet it will be one that has a minimum item level of 50. I don't know. Or the next unique item you find will be a helmet. You know, so like there's things we're adding in to help with target farming on both sides of that decision. So that'll go with the options that we already have as well. Don't remember your question exactly. I'm sorry, but I think the short answer is just yes. Yeah. I get lost in questions sometimes. Whoops. Alright, I just want to punch and kick stuff to death. Do you think class archetype like that ever exist in LE? I do think it will. I have a good idea as to where it might show up. It won't be by 1.0, I can tell you that for certain. And I can't guarantee because I don't know for sure where it'll show up. But like we do have tentative plans for that type of archetype to show up in one of two places right now. Yeah. We do have a little bit of an unarmed viability. There's a unique item that came out recently that helps you do a little bit of unarmed stuff, but not fully. Your ads are stopping people seeing your game. I don't run any ads. I don't know what you're seeing. I'm sorry. Maybe I do run ads and I just don't know. Maybe there's like default ads turned on. If there's default ads running that I can turn off, I would. I don't know if they are. Sorry. If you mean this one above my head, that's our charity. That's sticking there. I'm not moving that. We stream for charity, so all the money from our stream goes to them. All of it. Changes every month. Yes, it's the bunny pile that summons the fire snooty smelliest. Their weapons fly around for some reason. Good things as long as I remember. Oh my god, I'm far behind on questions. Mike, hurry up. What are you doing? I suspected it's something to do with the preventing duping since Blizzard is generally very strict regarding exploits. Yep. In multiplayer, we can instantly teleport out of an echo. Any chance that gets implemented single player in the future? Ah, interesting. Yes, there is slightly different things. It's possible. That's actually possible. The way the echoes load in multiplayer, there's actually that. So the echo of a world, or I think it's called Echo Worlds. Emrest is this underlying scene name. So Emrest it physically exists in the scene that we're in right now, way off in the middle of nowhere, which is why you used to come out of an echo and you'd always run to the left. That's why, because the echo of a world was always really far to the right of everything. Whatever echo was loaded. So whenever you'd come out of into Emrest, you'd immediately start trying to get back to the position you were at before, and you'd start running left. I hope we can add that in. If not, that might just be one of those slight differences between on and offline. Would be Unity your front end, and there is a back end where the game calculation actually runs, or the calculations on Unity itself. Well, our back end is built in Unity, so like we have we build a server version of the game, and we build a client version of the game, and so the client and each one of them does different calculations. Because there's the client version of the game has to be able to do all of those same calculations for offline mode. The offline client basically is the server. It's not true. There's it acts as its own server in many ways, but it doesn't come bundled with the server code. So there's lots of things when we're writing code, you can put these they're called if-defs. Or scope defines, probably the real name. I don't know what the real name for them is. but where it like only actually includes the code when you're when you say like make a server build, anything that's like inside an if-def that's like in Unity Editor or in I don't know, we call it Unity Client or something like that, or I don't know what we call it exactly, or we might say not server. Yeah, we probably say not server. It like doesn't compile that, or does compile it if it needs to, and so like it builds a different version of the code base for the online and offline client and server. But it's all built in Unity. It's not all built in Unity technically. Some of it is like cloud scripts. The mob that's causing the flying weapons. Oh yeah, we talked about that. So for Warlock, kind of like Destruction Warlock in WoW, crit heavy. I don't want to. I can read the whole question here. So for Warlock, kind of like a Destruction Warlock in WoW, crit heavy with, I'm guessing, a focused damage type, bit crits with void necrotic damage kind of idea. There's a lot in there that's not accurate for what we're doing, but there are some similar themes, and I don't want to go into too much detail. Sorry. Hi Mike! The Void Knight's echoes always happen too late against most enemies except bosses. Is it a skill design choice, or can we expect change, like a shorter time before the echo strikes? We don't have any plans to make that change at the moment. It's possible. It's something that I could see maybe doing as a like an item or a node or something like that. It sounds like a cool effect. I'd be very surprised if we change the baseline time for it. But I could see that being a cool, like, skill specialization avenue, angle, thing. Concerning sets, no changes yet, sorry. Will you allow us to transform a set piece into another random set piece to help us complete sets, or do you plan for us to have to find each set piece the hard way? I think we don't have any plans for converting set pieces at the moment. I think there's lots of opportunities for specific. It's crafting, specific crafting on unique items, essentially set items, through dungeon rewards. I think it's a good place to put things like that, and I think there's lots of time to add those dungeon rewards. There is also some changes to set items which are not implemented yet. They're planned. They're not done. We're working on it. It's going to be a bit still. That will change how you ask that question. I don't know how else to say that without giving anything away. Alright, Mike, don't die. It's actually an opportunity to die here. We have decent fire res. It's funny how they always died in the things that I have bad resistance to. You talked about unarmed stuff earlier and mentioned Hand of Judgment. Oh yeah, I kind of mentioned. I see the quotes. Nice, well done. I think you also said fist weapons will come in the past. Yes. So my question is, will future fist weapons work with this unique and a shield? I think the unique will need to be evaluated when we do decide to add fist weapons. If we're going by the letter of the law with how they're worded and all that sort of stuff, fist weapons will count as being armed and will not work with Hand of Judgment. That might change. We might look at it and evaluate it and change something, but if we're going all things being equal, it will not work the way you want it to work. So when will the 5-6 year beta end? Hopefully this year! All things go to plan. I'm really excited to take that beta early access label off and be like, game, play, have fun, enjoy. We're going to spend the next 10 years updating it. That's fair on not too much detail on Warlock, but I'm super excited. Me too. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. There's one ability in particular that I know the visuals have been tested for. We've did some early testing on visuals for the new Warlock abilities that are being added. The 4 new Warlock abilities that are being added. One of them's coming from Acolyte being pushed into Warlock, so that's why I say 4. And we made some new movement, like the way that abilities move through the game space, visually. We added some new tech for changing that for one of the Warlock abilities. Actually, 2 of the Warlock abilities had to have new tech added for that. That's funny. Baldur, I do not fear your wrath. Would you guys mind, like, just standing together real quick? Just, like, a lot. Your fall range big enough to hit both of them. Yeep. Our damage is not fantastic. Okay, you're kind of off in the corner. Right on top would be sweet. It's on necrotic like okay, so you're fine. Nice. Alright, you come down here. Come on. I maybe should have got this guy lower before killing the other 2. Come on, come down here, please. I get it. You're safe up there with your friends. My goodness. Just another question for this, but I'm not looking away. It's not happening. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get greedy and look away the last second. Oh my goodness. Alright, what do we got? What do we got? Increased fire damage. I guess we go fire res because we don't need stun duration really. That's fine. We'll just take that fire res out of some gear. Alright. Now you know what that means. That's gonna be fixed. Ta-da! Alright, new power timelines now. Come back here, do the other one. Let's get our butts kicked! Not gonna go well. That's okay though. Alright, let's get some more questions in here. I was doing so good catching up and I've fallen behind again. Will these set item changes be in before or at 1.0? Definitely not before. Skills like Sigils or Maelstrom need to be recast so often. Honestly, it's a lot of busy work. Can we expect some options to where to cast them like on hit or after walking some distance like Static Charge? Maybe. I don't want to say like, yes, you can expect these, but I think it's reasonable to expect that we address, at least look at it. Because I do agree with you that there is room for improvement. I know sigils, we do have plans for changing sigils already. Specifically around this. I don't want to say that. Sorry. We'll look at it. PoE2 seems to be moving away from life choice nodes on the passive tree with what are your thoughts on perceived mandatory choices of defensive in the passive tree? I think it's it's a tough question to answer. I think that there's definitely a very good reason to have defensive options in a passive tree like PoE2's and like just Path of Exile's passive tree in general. And I think that having like as soon as you have defensive nodes in a tree, like defensive and offensive options in a system like that, I think that there's a natural pull towards trying to get the. I'm like not showing anything in the stream. I'm sorry. Here's not while I'm talking. Let me ramble. More environmental updates based on the tech we added for last patch onto new scenes and stuff. Looks parody. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, defensive and offensive options in the same system. I think it's tough to make the defensive options seem appealing in that situation. And I think there's like a potential trap that can happen where if those defensive options exist, but they're not mandatory, taking them can leave characters so defensively powerful that it trivializes fights, but in a unfun way, whereby like the whole like ZDPS thing, where you have a character that does like literally 1 damage a hit against the boss that has literally 1,000,000 health. It's going to take you 1,000,000 hits to kill them. Great. But if you cannot die, you will complete the task eventually. It'll take for flippin' ever. And it's going to be boring. And it's just going to suck. So it's not like it doesn't promote a good gameplay loop. And I think there's sort of a danger there in general. So I think quite often it's you start getting the situations where okay, yeah, there's like the defensive options are not so much that you get into that situation, but they're like things are going to deal enough damage to you that they're still enticing to take, and they can feel, and then you get this like feeling of, well, what are the best defensive nodes? Okay, health, they're just like the best ones. It doesn't matter what situation you're in, they're just the best ones. And then you feel like they're mandatory, and it feels like it's taking away that choice where like you hit like, okay, I had these points, and suddenly they're just like those points are gone because they're mandatory to use. I think that's sort of the trap that can be set. And I don't know the best way to reconcile that, because I really like having defensive and offensive options in a skill tree system like that. Ooh. That would be really nice, either to try and like craft on or try and pull that onto a ring. And we know where we get easy exalted rings. Anyways, or LP rings. You know what I'm trying to say. Anyways. I personally really like having offensive and defensive options in there, and I think we try to make sure we put both of them in. More questions, Mike. Stop getting absorbed in playing your game and realize you're streaming. Alright, Mike, thanks. Any more leaks? Yeah, I got one more for you. Not a question, but a demand. We demand that you don't do. Oh, crunch. If the game is late, we want you to take care of your health and have time with your loved ones. We have spoken. Deal. We have a lot of what I've been calling flex features planned for 1.0. And we've got like a core set of features that we're like, okay, we're doing this for 1.0. We're getting it done. And like, I mean, obviously stuff comes up we might not be able to, but the plan is to get these really core things, and we're very confident we can get those core things done. And then there's a whole bunch of other features that are like, okay, well, if someone maybe finished all their work they had to do on those really important features, they can start working on this flex feature. And move it along. And then, oh, someone else finished all they had to do on the important features. Hey, let's have them like do their part of that flex feature. Oh, I finished it. Great. Let's push that out the door. And so there's like, we're going to try and get as much stuff into 1.0 as possible. But yeah, we'll be careful not to crunch hard. Overlay, I think I fixed that. Have you considered reducing the penalty for dual wielding? We have considered it. We're not changing it for this upcoming patch. What are your thoughts on endgame systems like PoE's delve system or a tower climbing like system? Do you see systems similar possibly making it into LE in the future? Yeah, I think they're great. I think that there's a lot of similarities actually into the arena, I think, because it's sort of like and as it gets harder, the arena is obviously extremely poison. The arena is obviously extremely simplistic compared to those examples, but I think there's a few things it does right, and there's definitely room to expand on it. And we'll be looking for that. 10 decks on a mage relic, that's funny. There is room to improve this relic, though. Like it's got some decent stats in there, but like, oh, yeah, amulet. We need new amulet. It's our goal here. Next goal, amulet. Should probably start looking at relics more carefully too. So the second half of that question was, do you see a system similar possibly making it into LE in the future? And yeah, I think there's room for stuff like that. Whether it's expansion of the arena system or more similar to what those other systems have. I like them, and I think variety is a really important thing when it comes to designing our in-game systems. Oh, alright. Use the Infernal Column node in Meteor. It'll make your build so much better. Okay. I won't say no. This one, eh? Yeah, but the mana cost. I'm already so mana starved. I'll consider it. What I need to do is I need to go and check my passives because there's this needs to go. There's 3 points that I can just free up. These are fine. I actually don't have that many notes. I was planning to switch to lightning pretty early, apparently. There's not a lot to change there. Few optimizations. We have cool visual effects for Ignite Shock. Do you plan to implement other ailment visual effects like poison? Interestingly enough, poison does have one. All of them do. Every ailment has visual effects that go with it. Ooh, there's probably an exception there. Most of them have it. I know poison does, though. Let's see if we can get poisoned. Oh, let's not say we didn't. Ow, my face. Any more of those things around that I need to clear out first? Oh, there it is. Questions. It'll make half the meteors miss and increase the mana cost. It's a win-win. But I don't think that's good. I don't want to do that. That doesn't sound fun. Did I catch up? I caught up. Pew, pew, pew. That calls for a celebration. Because I caught up. I'm trying to celebrate my successes instead of rewarding my failures for spoilers. All right. This is concept art for a creature of some sort somewhere arriving not next patch. So this is, I want to be really clear, this is a 1.0 dude or dudette or duder. Yeah. Aaron, hey bud. New mount. Mana Strike seems to give me mana back in 2 parts. Yes, one right away and another delayed. Do you know why this is? I do. It's been like this for a long time. I've asked about it before, but I can't remember if I got an answer. I've definitely answered this before. A few times. I don't know if it was for you or not. So you've probably got, like I do, a node that says... Mana Strike grants mana back when it critically strikes an enemy. So when you hit an enemy and it crits, you immediately get 9 mana back right away. Here, when you hit a rare or boss enemy, you immediately get 6. So if you crit a rare or boss enemy, you immediately get 15 with 2 points in this and 3 points in this, which I know you can have more. But so right now I'll immediately get 15 when I crit a boss. No, that one's not one of the immediate ones. Yeah. Okay, and then this one, when the base effects. So if you despecialize a Mana Strike, you won't get any immediate mana back. You'll only get the delayed mana. Because what this is and it's kind of hard to see. I might be able to try and find a way to show you, but there's actually like a particle effect that moves from the enemy to you. Oh my god, I had that overlay up the whole time because I'm an idiot. This node and this node, or what I was talking about, I'm sorry. So here, base effect. Come on, is it really not going to do it? Oh, I'm at full mana, that's why. Probably. This may not have a visual effect for it because it's usually a melee attack, so there's no visual effect for it. Right. What has that? Rip Blood? Yeah, Rip Blood has the effect because it's the same tech as Rip Blood. There's no VFX for it, and it looks weird with teleporting strikes. But there is actually an object. It has no VFX here because it's usually melee. This is a mistake by us. There's actually an object that travels from the enemy to you, and when it hits you, it gives you the mana back when you use Mana Strike. Which, when you do it in melee, it happens almost instantly because you're, like, melee. But yeah, so there's nodes in the tree that have effects that grant you mana back on hit immediately, and the base effect that is augmented by nodes in the tree takes some time to travel back to you, especially if you have teleporting strikes turned on, which a lot of people do. And it moves likely at the same pace as Rip Blood does. Yeah. So if you go fast enough, it'll never give you mana back. So you're saying yes, yeah. If you run away from the target fast enough, you'll never get the mana back. That is true. Some Last Epoch's version of Falcor from Neverending Story. I have heard that reference quite a bit when looking at that concept art. I think this is one of those situations, and this happens a lot for all sorts of things, where like someone will make something, and they'll just like have no idea that it's like a spitting image of something else, and you're like, well, I grew up with that. Of course I know what that is. And they're like, I've never heard of that as a thing. And it's really interesting. It happens a lot more when you get an international team. Because there's so many things that are, like, really cultural. So, like, if I were to say, do you guys get house hippos down there? Is that... have you ever had to deal with house hippos? They're, like... they're a menace. You gotta be careful with house hippos. Okay? Oh, come on.
It's nighttime in a kitchen just like yours. All is quiet. Or is it? The North American house hippo is found throughout Canada and the eastern United States. House hippos are very timid creatures and are rarely seen, but they will defend their territory if provoked. They come out at night to search for food, water, and materials for their nests. The favorite foods of the house hippo are chips, raisins, and the crumbs from peanut butter on toast. They build their nests in bedroom closets, using lost mittens, dryer lint, and bits of string. The nests have to be very soft and warm. House hippos sleep about 16 hours a day.
That looked really real, but you knew it couldn't be true, didn't you? That's why it's good to think about what you're watching on TV and ask.
Yeah, so it's just a PSA about don't believe everything you see on TV. But like you say house hippos to anyone in Canada that's like about my age, grew up in Canada around the same time I did, and they're just like, everyone knows about house hippos. And it's just this like oh, I wouldn't download a car. It's like that level of joke. But you say it to people who grew up anywhere else, and they're like, what are you talking about? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Yeah, so I think there's, you play in an international team, or work at an international team like this, you get situations like that a lot. Which I think is really cool. Don't worry, person editing up this upload, that video is old enough that it's safe. Oh, gotta get back to questions that I can answer. Are there any last second ones? Oh, don't die! No, Mike! Oh. The tendrils node from explosive arrows, they must to clean strike. But it's only for lightning. Do you plan to allow other damage types to have a similarly efficient skill node? There's no specific plans, but if you'd like to suggest one, head on over to the forums and drop it down there. Because I don't write things down from here, because I'm terrible. It's probably already been asked a lot, but I haven't been playing or following the news. Have you guys announced a date for the next update or big update? We do not have a date for the next update available yet, but keep a weather eye on the horizon, for Gamescom approaches, and it shall be glorious. Glorious! So when will Lost Knowledge or Mana Spent gained as Ward work with Harbinger of Stars? I know it'll never happen, but I can dream! I don't think it'll work. I don't wanna... No. Speaking about international team environment, how do you guys manage time zone differences? Lots of nightly early meetings for some team members, rotating hour schedules. Yeah, there's one thing we do. Generally, most people who work overseas, not everyone, but generally most people who are on significantly different time zones do keep a roughly North American schedule. Epoch time, we call it, is North America Central Time, and so all of our schedule is centered around that. Like I'm 2 hours west of that, so it's like it's a little bit off for me, and then people are on the East Coast, and it's a little bit off for them, and then people are in Europe, and it's really off from them. Some people, I know some people are just like, yeah, I want a nighttime job. we've got a couple people who are just like, love the fact that they work in Europe and they've got a North American job, and they're like, it's perfect because I can work at night. And there's other people that do their stuff during their daytime, and so they basically, their shift is like super early morning for us. We've got people in Australia who typically, I think, just work. I judging for when they're online, they're usually just working on like a normal time schedule for them, and what they do, it works quite well like that. And there's like, I connect with a lot of different departments, so I find myself up really early some mornings or on really late some nights. But part of that is just because I have a problem. It's called working too much. Definitely gotten better since the kid, which is great. But yeah, most of the time we try and keep things as North America standard as possible, or just work out a way to make it work with the person. What are we drinking after hours in Germany? I'm definitely want to try. I really like getting local stuff. So it's gonna be, I'm gonna try a bunch of different local stuff, but I really don't like. I know one of the most popular local beers there is like super dark and often coffee infused, I think. And I really don't like dark or coffee beers, so like, I'll try one. Maybe I fall in love. I have low expectations for that, but I know they'll have lots of other stuff that'll be great too. Oh yeah, it's easy. Epoch time. Everyone works it until the end of time. That would be bad. You guys talked a while back about updating some of the visuals to use object pooling rather than instantiating everything. How much performance difference can be attributed to that change? A lot. You may notice that the game has just gotten prettier and prettier. A lot of that prettier and prettier has to do with the processing power we have freed up from doing that. and it's getting better and better and better still because we're still adding more and more stuff to that. It's each type of system needs to be updated differently for that. Like, for example, when you send out a fireball, there's no way to know that the next fireball is going to be set up the same way. And because we have such complex skill trees and how they're designed and everything, like you don't know if that fireball needs to have some like weird extra thing on it. I guess what's a good example of that? Here, lightning conversion. So like the damage stat on the fireball itself, like the damage component, the damage enemy on hit is what it's called. That component has changes that are made to it in the process of you casting it. So like when you cast an ability, when you cast a fireball, that fireball in the process of creating it, it gets changed a whole bunch. So like stock fireball gets loaded, and then we're like, oh, okay, you've got this node, change it this way. You've got this node, change it this way, and then the fireball's like ready to go, and it gets launched the next frame. And taking that fireball that's been modified and launched and putting it back in the pool, you can't now when you go to use that fireball for the next fireball you throw, you can't guarantee that it's going to be the same, because maybe it's an effect that says like every 3 fireballs it's twice as big, and so you got to put it back the way it was every time. So that's tricky, and that effect on pooling doesn't need to happen for things like I don't know, a good example. Oh, like an item visual or something. I have the thickest teeth skin ever. Whew. That was close. We earned that ascendance. That was. That's right. I did the special. I don't know if you saw. There's an advanced technique I did in the middle of that. It was called Panic. Take your ring off and put it back on. Yeah, all pro. Just finish up some questions here, then we'll turn off this train wreck of a stream that's going on. How did you learn programming? I spent many years at school learning it. Actually, the first programming thing I ever did was my dad had a Commodore 64 when I was a kid growing up, and in grade 7 we were told to do a project on anything we wanted, anything, and I chose to write the most simple program ever. Oh no, turn off notifications. It only lasts 2 hours when they start coming in. The most simple program ever on a Commodore 64 for a school project grade 7. That was the first one I started. Have you guys considered expanding onto the shrine system via maybe unique equipment, idols, or even passive skill nodes? Yes, we have considered it. It will not happen for 1.0, but I think you're safe to say it'll eventually, yeah. Don't lose the stream next week as we're getting ready for Gamescom and you'll be out. Correct. Yes. Thank you very much for calling that out, Kane. Next week I will not be here. Same place, same time. We're taking the week off. I need a little bit of time to prepare and get myself together in order to leave for Gamescom, which would be, I think, the next day or the day after that. So I'm taking that Friday off. So no stream next week. And yeah, we'll be in Gamescom after that. So there'll be 2 weeks without a stream, I think. And then there should be one the week after. 18th, no stream because I'm leaving for Gamescom. 25th, no stream because I'm at Gamescom. 1st, I will be back. Yes, so our next stream will be on the 1st. August 1st will be our next stream. It'll be a ton of fun. We'll have tons of stuff to talk about from Gamescom. I can't wait for that. That's going to be exciting. I think that's all we got. Thanks for coming out. I hope you had fun. I know I did. I love doing these streams. And yeah, I hope you have a great time. We'll be back August 1st. Nope, September 1st. I know how months work. Have a great time, everybody. See you next time. Oh, and if I didn't answer your question and you would like it answered, please head on over to our Discord. There is an Acids channel that I do keep a close eye on, and I will answer it there.